Hi everyone, this is Alex with Road Trader On. Today we are looking at the Craft CTM Ultra. This is the non-plated version of this shoe. It released already in Europe for 160 euros and it will release in May in the US for $160 as well. It has 40 millimeters of stack height in the heel, a 10 millimeters drop for 30 millimeters of stack in the forefoot. This is quite rare, in fact, on the market. 293 grams in my size, US 11.5, EU 45. This is something you may want to pay attention to. The size charts are not necessarily like for other brands, where EU 45 would correspond to US 11. Here there's half a size of difference, so I would recommend you to look at the shoe length or the US size as the reference. Very interestingly, the first thing that you could notice is the insole inside. It's a TPU insole with those little bubbles, textured bubbles on the outside. It's really thick, really soft, and it certainly plays a major role in the ride of the shoe. It's quite heavy as well, coming at 43 grams for my size US 11.5. So quite a heavy insole inside, but certainly playing a major role in the ride of the shoe. Right, so putting that aside. Now in terms of upper, we're looking at an engineered mono mesh upper. It is extremely light, extremely supple and flexible. The only insert here on the inside maintains a bit the toe box in place, the upper here in the toe box area. But otherwise it's really supple, flexible and lightweight. It gives a very good volume in the toe box, very generous volume. One of the roomiest toe box so far this year in the shoes that I've tested. The lockdown is okay in the midfoot, nothing to write home about, but it's okay. And if it's not perfect for me, it may also come from the fact that I received half a size upper than what I usually have. The heel is also very supple, very pliable. It has lots of give to it, and the lockdown of the heel is okay, but something a bit more either rigid or maybe a bit more padded. Those two bolsters here on the sides could be a bit bigger and would certainly help with a better heel lockdown. But here again, because it's not a true size shoe for me, this may also come from this. Overall, the upper is very nicely done and very lightweight and breathable. So that's a good thing. The tongue is on the thin side. It has a layer of material inside, but it works well for me. It's one of those nice tongues in 2021 for me. Coming to the midsole, it's an EVA, a bit modified EVA midsole. It's on the firm side of things when touching it, and it runs a bit softer than what one could expect when touching it. In addition to the previously recorded footage, so the EU website, Craft EU website, mentions that there is an insert in the midsole, in the Volt Foam midsole, but it does not say what material it is made of, and it appears that the US website states that the insert within the midsole is actually made of PEBA material, so supposedly something softer and with a bit more energy return compared to the EVA, although it's a processed EVA, but the PEBA should have that softer feel and also a bit more energy return. And that really explains nicely why the shoe rides softer than what one could expect when pressing from the outside on the Volt Foam midsole. So that's quite interesting, and also looking from the inside and pressing with the thumb on the midsole, at the center of the midsole from the inside, there's definitely a softer feel than what you would experience pressing on the outside. So it confirms there's an insert, and very likely so a PEBA one inside the shoe. So that's quite interesting. And the PEBA insert actually is probably thicker on this shoe, the CTM Ultra, because the Carbon Ultra, so the big sister or big brother of this one, also has a PEBA insert, but it's sitting between the plate and the midsole, so it's taking that 5-6 millimeters depth together with the plate. So PEBA plus plate are taking those 5-6 millimeters of depth in the EVA midsole, in that bedding inside. And here on the CTM Ultra, there's no plate, and so the PEBA insert is very likely thicker on this shoe, which also could explain why it may ride softer than the CTM Carbon Ultra, taking into account, of course, that this shoe does not have the carbon fiber plate. It has that rocker shape that you can certainly see even on the footage, and the very pronounced heel bevel here, very reminiscent of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 1 and 2 as well. We'll come back to that when comparing the shoes. The rocker plays certainly a big role in the ride. It helps with the upper that is not so structured, and the rocker compensates a bit for that. The midsole overall is very pleasant and is a good surprise. I was fearing something more rigid, more firm, and without that nice ride. It actually has quite a nice ride to it. It's way more stable than you could expect. The width of the midsole is quite significant in the forefoot, and then it gets slightly narrower in the midfoot and in the heel. And I was fearing that because of this, the ride would not be necessarily very secure and very stable. But I didn't encounter any issues on that part. And actually, to the contrary, I noticed lower pronation values with this shoe, which can be a good thing for longer distances or recovery type of efforts, where you don't necessarily want to put lots of tension in your heel, and that's possible with this shoe that's quite stable and offers lower pronation values. Now coming to the outsole, it's a very thick rubber that's applied here at the bottom of the midsole. The lugs are quite deep, 2 or 3 millimeters, I would say, or even maybe 4 for some of them. 2 different patterns, those V and dots here. I must admit that I run with this shoe on treadmill for the 3 times that I used it so far. So I cannot comment on how the outsole grip is, but however, it feels very very nice below the feet when running in it. And I assume that the grip is quite good, especially on those packed trails or trails with little gravels. It must do a good job, and that's what other reviewers at RTR had experienced. But for that, you can definitely read the written article. Now, comparing this shoe to other shoes, obviously the first one that comes to mind is the Hyperion Elite 2 from Brooks. very similar shape, geometry, beveled heel. The uppers are also in that same not so structured, very light uppers. I believe that the Hyperion Elite 2, I didn't try the 1, but the 2 was a bit firmer in the midsole. That's also, of course, due to the carbon plates that was added to it. It was also a very stable shoe, but the price point was significantly higher at 250 euros or dollars. So for people that are not necessarily looking for that additional spring, which is the main difference between the two shoes, I would definitely recommend the Craft, which does pretty much the same job with a significantly lower price tag and overall the very similar features. Two other shoes that come to mind are the Nike Invincible, not necessarily because of similar uppers. The Invincible is way more structured, padded, and a more traditional upper type of construction. It also has the PEBA foam in the midsole, so lots of differences on that point. But the two shoes are quite similar in the sense that their forefoot width in the midsole are two of the widest midsoles in 2021. And but that stops to the forefoot. The heel of the Invincible is way wider, and however the Invincible is less stable. So at $20 less, the Craft is actually quite a nice shoe to look at. It's of course less bouncy and less fun than the Invincible, so two different animals from that perspective, but quite interesting. Another shoe that comes to mind is the Skechers Razor XS. Obviously because of the very pronounced rocker that the two shoes have. The Skechers, however, has a more pronounced rocker, is lighter, around 50 grams, 1.5 ounce lighter for the Skechers. It also has a way more structured and padded heel, and it has a bit more, I would say, not necessarily spring, but a bit more, maybe spring or bounciness to it in the midsole. But the ride of the two shoes are actually quite similar, and both shoes can be very good training tools, training shoes for longer distances and endurance run at long run pace, or maybe half marathon type of tempo efforts. That's it for the Craft CTM Ultra. I want to mention that this shoe was provided to us RTR reviewers very kindly by Craft. So thank you Craft for this. And of course the multi-reviewer article will be live very soon on roadtraileron.com. So go ahead and check it out if you want to read more about this shoe, and of course different perspective from different reviewers. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you a great day.